Tonight, expecting a low of 52, and by Friday, smoky, sunny, and a high of 83. That's your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch.
Oh, when the smoke gets in your eyes. Thank you, Gina. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, brings you the weather right off the bat, right here on this program. Located on the Burley Paul Highway, Roger and the rest of the crew serving you with the best of tools and equipment for both long and short term. Call them, 678-3122, K&R Rental. I did something, for those of you that are watching on the cameras on the internet, zebbell.com, I did something yesterday that I didn't think I would get done ever. I cleaned my desk. It has been to where we pile, and then we pile again, and then we angular the piles, and pile again. And yesterday I went in with a pitch and throw attitude and threw out almost 90% of the stuff on my desk. And boy, this office feels so much roomier this morning. Hey, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to mention our good friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Oh, they're there early in the morning. You better believe it, to serve you as they have been for almost 6 decades. Holy cow. And what great service. Here the other day, we blew up the lights in this office, and thanks to a power outage or a surge. And Jared was right here in the afternoon to get us all shipshape and running again. So we appreciate them. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. For all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Hey, tomorrow is the big day. It's Lunch Bunch Day. Call your friends, call your neighbors, call your relatives, the ones you speak to, and everybody trying to be there at Lunch Bunch at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And they've got another location, too, in Twin Falls at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin. The best of menu choices for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and great desserts. Oh, my! And Thomas and the whole crew serving you. Absolutely going to be a lot of fun. And our thanks also to some of our gift card and gift certificate donors for the Lunch Bunch, including Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Pomerell Place, and Denny's. Denny's Restaurant. It is America's Diner at 611 North Overland and Burley. We'll be at Lunch Bunch tomorrow at 11:30. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know that nice tractor you just bought from Stokes Equipment?
Yes.
You could use that to clean up your office.
Don't push it, Cottam.
Well, I've been in your office, and I know the trail how to get there.
You know, you're just walking on eggshells here this morning, buddy.
You can't reach me. I'm 20 miles away from you. But if we can get down to more serious, Mike Simpson, I finally seen him on TV.
Yeah.
Now, here's a man that has really put the people in southern Idaho in a conundrum. He is not represented us well, at least we don't think so, because we never hear from him. Him or a Democratic candidate who I don't even know who it is.
Well, let me interrupt and get in on the conversation with you just a little bit. Number one, I'm prejudiced when I say this. And, Wheels, we got a little feedback here, please. But Mike and I have had our outs on this program, but still, he needs to contact me and get on the radio and talk to his constituents about what's being done. Where is it written, Keith? Tell me, please, and I'm being very serious about this, that we have to be the tail that wags the dog. In other words, why do we have to, in the media, chase after politicians that are serving their constituents and get them to give us information? Shouldn't they be calling us and coming on programs to tell us what's going on?
Absolutely. And he has not done that.
No, he has not.
you or any other talk show.
No, I am very upset about the lack of caring about Mike. And for those that are Mike Simpson's fans, great. I'm glad, because in many cases, Mike Simpson has done an outstanding job for the state of Idaho. But he has let some of his biases and some of the problems that we had over certain subjects in the past on this program take him to a level where he will not call in, he will not give us the information, and I honestly don't feel, Keith, that I should be out there chasing around and saying, oh, please come on my program, when he owes it to his constituents to get on the air and tell them what's happening.
This is a good example of the deep state.
I agree.
You know, he does what he has to. Probably if we were to see his voting record like he's done in the past, it probably is in our favor. I don't question that. It's just that he doesn't let us know what his feelings are on a particular subject or something. And it's like it's a big secret.
That's right. And I'll tell you something. There's a lot of people in politics here in the state of Idaho that kind of cringe a little bit when I start a criticism against Mike Simpson. I'm not going to back off. I'm not going to cry in the corner about things I say about Mike. If he is a representative of the people of the state of Idaho, he'd better overlook some of the past things that have been said and not said between him and I on a radio program and our disagreements on certain subjects, and he'd better start calling in and letting his people know what's going on. That's all I have to say. I'm not chasing him down like a track meet, trying to get him to go, oh, please, Mike, come on my program. He should be calling so that you can hear him.
This is a situation like taking vinegar. It may be good for you, but you don't like the taste of it.
There you go. I got to run. I got another call waiting. Keith, thank you so much.
See you later. Bye.
All right, buddy. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't you dare go away. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And they can help you get back to being you. Absolutely. The number to call for an appointment, I urge you to do that. I'm going to be starting up again next month. 678-1191. Nick Greenwell and all the top-notch physical therapists can serve you with the best of exercise programs and the use of the hydrotherapy pool. The best. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Caller, good morning.
Good morning. It's the Yummy Man from the Senior Junction.
All right, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
Today we're having birthday and anniversary dinner, which is turkey and dressing, mashed taters and gravy, green beans, cranberry sauce, and yummy dessert.
Yummy dessert. There it is, right there. That's why they call him the Yummy Man. He has been asked to do a TV show back in New York regarding yummy desserts, but he turned it down to stay right here in Magic Valley.
You got that right. Everybody is welcome. We need more people to come out and enjoy a great lunch at the Senior Center. And if you'd like to call in and order one, they'll have it ready for you at 12 to go.
All right. Thank you, Joe. God bless you, man. I got to run on, but I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Joe Taylor at the Senior Junction. Great lunches. Call in, and they'll have one ready for you. Right now, call me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Keith brought it up a minute ago, and I'll elaborate a little bit more about my thoughts. Deeper, murkier, and more trashier. Washington, D.C., the swamp is full of sewage. I am so disgusted with attorneys, politicians, not all, but quite frankly a large percentage, lobbyists, and crooks. America needs a great big car wash. Let me tell you something, folks. This is a mess on both sides of the aisle. I'm not going to be a protectionist for the Republicans. I'm not going to be a protectionist for any party or any one individual or groups of individuals. I'm going to call it like I see it. The congressional hearings, here's a good example of why I'm upset. What good comes out of these congressional hearings other than It's all show and go, politicians getting an opportunity to show off for their constituents and thus hopefully retain their vote when they're up for re-election. Oh, the theater. Oh, the glitz and the glamour. Oh, the questions. Oh, the leaning on their elbows looking forward at the person that's testifying and the absolute, I'm pointing my finger at you in disdain attitude. For what? What really is accomplished? I'm sick of this. Work for the constituents and get something done. I am sick of the slithering, snake-like ways that are going on in politics today. Case in point, what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. If you don't know, I will tell you. Honestly, Congressman Mike Simpson and I had an out over the Muslim Brotherhood. I did not want, during the Obama administration, the Muslim Brotherhood to have any part or particle of the Obama administration. Mike didn't like that concept and called me a McCarthyist, and we had an out, a big out. And I feel that if he needs to talk to his constituents, he needs to get on this program. I have had many people tell Mike, hey, come on, you better get on the program and start talking to people about what's going on. He won't do it. He won't do it. That phone line is open. That phone line is open. And if Congressman Mike Simpson wants to call, I'll take his call. But, you know, the absolute not caring, I think, is in politics today. Not all politicians. I don't want to condemn all of them. But the form letters, no thanks. I don't have time for junk mail. If you're going to send a letter, send it from the heart. I don't want to hear the theretofores and the herewiths and all that kind of thing. Both sides of the aisle right now, across the board, are showing a lack of class and a lack of caring for their constituents. You disagree with me? Give me a call. The phone lines are open. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Barry Equipment and Rental Sales Service and Parts at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan. Hello, Juan. You betcha. We're going to be talking football with him the next time we get him on the air. And 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli and the Nampa location for all the equipment that you need. I mean, if you want to rent a big Doosan loader, they've got them. You want to rent a Bobcat excavator, all the different shapes and sizes, they've got them. Want to buy one? They've got that, too. Equipment rentals and retail equipment sales at Barry Equipment and Rental. Really sharp, good people that can help you. And again, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location for Barry Equipment and Rental. Good people. Calls welcome. Evidently, everybody just sits back. And I hope you don't have this attitude during the November election. You got to get involved. You've got to let your voice and your vote be heard. Call me, please, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Also, I want to remind you that on Mondays we give away a dozen cookies. And you know what? Not one single time have any of the winners ever volunteered to share the wealth. I'm hurt. Anyhow, don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, the best of a bakery. Oh, the best of a restaurant. All for you. Please get a hold of them today. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. And by the way, if you're getting married, they make the most delicious-looking wedding cakes you've ever seen at Sophie's Chatterbox. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Oh, brother, you talk about politics and about people not getting along and people having all kinds of insurrection within the confines of an office meeting at Jerome County Commissioners. Still a lot of infighting. Made the front page of the paper this morning. And outgoing with 5 months left, Kathy Romer and Roger Morley, county commissioners for Jerome. Evidently, there is a little testy situation over there. I don't believe those two, Romer and Morley, are going to be sending Christmas cards to each other. But long story short, you can read it in the paper. Kathy Romer, I guess, contacted an attorney and sent a letter to which she could have reached over with her left arm and handed it to him. She appears to be a little unsettled against the county commission in Jerome, and she said that she believes she is suffering through a hostile environment. Oh, brother. Kathy, the only thing I would say to you that adults do have disagreements. And adults and some people do not like each other. Oh, wow. That's an earth-shattering observation. Some people don't like me. I can't imagine. Well, I just live with it. I just live with it. And go on down the yellow brick road. And do the job that the good Lord gave me talent for. Maybe that same advice should be applicable to the Jerome County Commission. I mean, sending a certified letter to a guy that's sitting right next to you as a county commissioner and complaining about hostile behavior. You want hostile behavior? That's what the Sioux Indians did to Custer up in Montana. Why can't it just be, hey, listen, I got a problem with you on this. Can we meet after the meeting and discuss this? Instead of sending a certified letter, why exacerbate the problem? And I would suggest they just finish out the terms, doing the best they can for Jerome County. That's a concept. And then go home. Or go shopping, whatever. There are much better items to discuss and take care of rather than sending letters about hostile behavior. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I would love to hear from you, and I got to tell you a little bit about the Bennett Boys auction. Oh, Joe Bennett, my old buddy. Yeah, my old, emphasis on the word old buddy. And they've got coming up this Saturday the Jim Lundy family auction, and it's going to be in Buell, and the printing's real small here, and my old eyes are having a hard time trying to read it. It's 3924 North, 1500 East. From the Buell Medical Center, go east for 1 mile, then south for 1 3/4 miles. Lunch at the Cook Shack. They're going to have shop equipment, tools, and supplies, and it all starts at 11 o'clock. Oh, my goodness. They've got four-wheelers, ATVs, they got ATV trailers. They've got all kinds of good stuff over at this sale. Shop equipment, like I said. Jim Lundy Family Auction coming up this Saturday at 11 o'clock over in Buell. Look for the signs of the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys. They sell them all. All right, callers, come on, give me a jingle on the line. Evidently, everybody's afraid to call this morning after we mentioned that. So please give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, this story is so sad. I mean, it is absolutely so sad. I followed this story from the get-go, and it just, as a father and a grandfather, you sit back and it brings tears to your eyes that here was a young woman going to be a sophomore at the University of Iowa, Molly Tibbetts. And she's out jogging, doing nothing wrong, just jogging. and she's killed, murdered, her body stuffed in a cornfield, covered with corn stalks, and for over 30 days, the family was going through pure hell, trying to figure out if their daughter was still alive, where she might be, etc. And then all of a sudden, the case took on the appearance of having a close. An illegal alien, I want to emphasize this, illegal alien charged with first-degree murder in the disappearance and death of Molly Tibbetts. They found her body in the middle of a cornfield, as I said, covered with corn stalks. And for what reason? She was out jogging. And then all of a sudden, according to some of the video cameras that were on some of the farms on the road that she was jogging on, thank goodness for those video cameras, those surveillance cameras, they saw the black Chevy come up behind her, and evidently he was talking to her through the window, and then he followed her and followed her and followed her. And eventually, they haven't explained yet the means, but this illegal alien killed her. For what? For what purpose? We go back to so many of these stories. Kate Steinle. The similarities here are just absolutely glaring. And we need to have a crackdown and a tightening of our borders. We need to have a crackdown and a tightening on the information of who these people are. They say they had E-Verify, but there's a lot of holes in the system. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, you were headed right for what I was going to mention. The fact that he worked for a dairyman or a farmer, whichever, and he had all the documentation that he needed to work for them. And that's the problem that we have right here in our area, dairies and that sort of thing. These farmers and dairymen do not hire these people if they don't have the documentation. But is it real?
I cannot sit here on the radio, Keith, and I can't say and disseminate the information of what's real, what's phony, what's made up, what is maybe confiscated information or material, whatever, just to get into this country. I can't. All I am saying is that when we start talking about illegals coming in from any country, I don't care where it is, Costa Rica, wherever, we have got to have a crackdown. We've got to know who they are and what they represent. And I'll go a step further on the conversation, the same being for refugees. We have been seeing many crimes committed by refugees coming in here with supposedly all the data, supposedly all the information, supposedly all the background checks, which is a joke, and crimes are being committed that wouldn't have been committed had they not been here.
That's true. But the other thing is they should not accept any documents if they have not came through the U.S. Border Patrol.
Well, we've got a major problem, and anybody that overlooks this and says, oh, well, one of the things that bothers me so bad, Keith, and I don't know what your attitude is and the rest of the listeners out there this morning, is when you hear these dipsticks say, oh, well, that's just a small percentage that are creating the crimes and or killing somebody. To that family, to the Tibbetts family, does anything like a statement saying, it's just a small percentage? That family is grieving right now because their daughter, a sophomore at the University of Iowa, will never come home again for Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. And when they start saying, it's just a small percentage, that absolutely makes me fighting mad.
You know, it makes me fighting mad, too. And there's nobody will know what it's like to go through the agony of the loss of a loved one that you don't know whether is still alive or what. I lost my dad back in 1973 on a goose hunting accident. He fell through the ice, and he left the flashlight burning on the ice, and that's why they knew he'd went under.
Oh, my.
But all night long, I agonized. No, my dad would not let this happen. He walked away and all this kind of stuff, thinking and hoping that he was still alive.
Yeah.
And my agony goes out to these families who have to face these kind of circumstances.
Very well stated, Keith, and thank you again for calling back. I appreciate it. Thank you, and I mean that. Thank you very much. Caller, I'll be right with you. I want to remind everybody about Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer. We had Vic on the air yesterday with the Stoats Ag Minutes every Tuesday at 9:46 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Stories about people in agriculture, great big ag events coming up. All of this with Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland and Burley. They do make your life easier. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I think Confucius was the one that said one picture is worth 1,000 words. What's wrong with public executions?
Well, I haven't given that hardly any thought at all as far as what you're saying, public executions. I'd have to mull that over and consider the pros and cons on that and to what it would do or not do for the curtailment of any future crimes, etc. But I am saying this, that the laws are written to protect the people that live in any part of this country, whether it's on a city, a county, or a state, or a national basis. We have laws. And when these laws are being broken by people that absolutely willfully break the laws to get here, then we've got to have a crackdown. Tony, it's past time.
It is. I mean, these guys, they figure they come here from another country. They're exempt from the same laws that you and I have to live by. And I really think we need to start setting an example. We're at that point right now that this country, crime-wise, is out of control. The borders are out of control. And people like John McCain really don't care.
Well, I'm not going to go that far to speculate and say that they don't care. I mean, we don't know what goes on in their head. We don't know what's going on in their heart. But I am going to say this in correlation to what you said. Yes, crime is out of control. Evil is out of control in this country. And the other day, this was interesting because I really condemned what's going on with Antifa, etc. And I said something, this about a week and a half ago. I said, bring on the billy clubs and have your peaceful march, but if Antifa gets involved, let them know maybe the pain caused by a couple of knuckle bumps. And people were outraged that I would say that. They said I was inciting violence. No, I'm not. I'm saying you got to put the violence down once and for all.
Well, what's the other side do? You and I can go out and try to have a peaceful congregation somewhere, and we'd be attacked, and we're supposed to be there like the what would you call it? The mild lambs.
Yeah.
Go out there like a lamb and be slaughtered.
That's not going to happen in my case, Tony. I guarantee you.
Well, keep up the good work, Zeb. Keep your guns loaded, and there's a whole lot of us that we'd be backing you.
I appreciate it, Tony. Thank you very much for your call. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, go ahead, Adrian, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you didn't respond. I didn't know. Anyway, there's under our Constitution, Article 4, Section 4 says that our elected officials are to protect us from invasion. It doesn't say an invading army necessarily, but we're being invaded with all these illegals, the gangs, and all of this going on. I just cried last night when I heard about Molly in Iowa, and of course, the news media largely is not calling the killer an illegal alien. They're, the undocumented immigrant, or they won't say anything about his status, that he was just a worker in a dairy there.
Well, let me talk to you.
need to be held accountable. And we need to stop all immigration until we figure out who's here.
I couldn't agree more. I agree with that. Let me jump in here and say something with you. I've got a lot of friends in Texas, Arizona, etc., that live right on the border. They have ranches on the border. These folks are scared to death. They are scared to go on their property and on the perimeters of their property because they might be gathering cows, whatever the case might be. They are afraid for their lives. Americans afraid for their lives. And with the drug cartels and the gangs and everything else just basically in a walkover, step over the border and come in here, that's not right. These people are taxpayers that own property and are trying to make an honest living in this country, and they're scared to leave their homes after the sun sets in the evening.
Oh, absolutely, Zeb. And we need to build that wall. It should have been built a long time ago. We're the only country in the world that doesn't control the borders. Now, look at that guy that accidentally, supposedly, got into Mexico. It took, months and months to get him out of there. And the Mexican officials treated him badly. And so, what's good for the goose is good for the can. But they just want to get rid of their riffraff down there. And so they send them up here. And then, of course, if they get caught, we slap them on the wrist and turn them loose. They're in sanctuary cities, et cetera, et cetera. But now this guy, okay, he's going to be convicted of first-degree murder. And there's no death sentence. So they're going to we're going to keep him alive, and you think he's 24 years old?
Yeah.
For a long time. And, of course, he'll probably join up with a gang in the prison, because they're already there. And so, it's just in the two-tiered justice system that we have. Hillary and Bill get away with murder, literally, and all of the stuff that they have done, and yet nothing. The Mueller thing has just been about Trump, and Russian.
Well, hold on a second. You're jumping gears here and jumping stories, and I don't want to jump stories that quick. I will say this, and then I've got to do another commercial before a weather forecast, Adrian. In the Mueller investigation, in all my years, and I'm an old man, I don't remember seeing this kind of an investigation over a crime that hasn't yet been proven was ever committed. They're looking for a crime, and normally when you have an investigatory commission like this, they're trying to investigate the crime and find out all the particulars. In this case, it's reverse. I've never heard of this. They're trying to create a crime.
Well, yeah, they got to get rid of Trump because, he's in the road of the implementation of the New World Order through the elitists. That's what it really boils down to, and they're trying to destroy our country any way they can, whether it's economically, politically. But he's been a wrench in the works that's slowed them down tremendously. He's reversing a lot of the environmental stuff. But just look, it's incredible what's happening to this country, folks, and we better get out and vote. And we better hold our elected officials' feet to the fire to stop all of this illegal, all this immigration. We need to just stop it. When we need the death penalty back, we need to have voter ID. I really fear this coming election, we're going to have so much voter fraud in key areas that the Democrats could take over Congress just because of illegals voting and voter fraud where there's no ID. Can you imagine going to polls? No ID. Idaho, of course, we have to have ID, but a lot of states you don't.
Yeah, I got to jump in here, and I've got to go to the weather forecast right now, Adrian, but you bring up excellent points that I absolutely agree with you on. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And right now we're going to go to the weather forecast, and the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Did I tell you, yes I did, that the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup has written a book called Communication Tips for Happier Relationships. This is a nice paperback book, and it's got a lot of great little tips in there for you and your hearing health. All you need to do is go to Mount Harrison/radio and go to the request box, hit that box, click it, they'll send you a copy. Absolutely. Don't forget, make an appointment for your hearing health at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They are right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Make an appointment, 312-29... No, that's wrong. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of another number, another place, another time, another galaxy. Let me repeat that again. 312-0957. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology. Here's Gina with the weather.
Nice to have a few rain showers for this morning. Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. This rain and thunderstorms could continue off and on throughout the entirety of the day. Some of these storms today could produce gusty winds. Areas of smoke are still going to persist. However, we are going to see some sunshine today, expecting a high of 81. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 6 miles an hour, becoming north-northeast later on in the day. For tonight, areas of smoke, mostly clear skies with a low of 51. Tomorrow, it is going to be smoky again due to the area wildfires north of Boise. And then we've got a whole bunch of wildfires in Oregon and Washington that are making their smoke prevalent in our area. Looking at a high of 85 tomorrow. Tomorrow night, expecting a low of 52. And by Friday, smoky, sunny, and a high of 83. That's your weather forecast for Zeb.
Thank you, Gina. And brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Dr. Pickup, Dr. Mitchell, serving you. Call for an appointment today, 312-0957. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to take just about 30 seconds here or a little more to tell you about the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch and their great big 30th annual production sale coming up on September 8th. Preview at 10 in the morning, sale at 11, up at the ranch in Oakley. Jerry and the crew, these are, simply put, I mean, you can give all the balderdash you want, but simply put, these are doggone good horses. They're bred for conformation, they're bred for disposition, they're bred to be great performance horses. They've been raised in the high desert country. They know how to pick their feet up and put them down, let me tell you. Call Jerry for catalogs and information at 670-3833, and that's going to be the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch production sale, September 8th at the ranch in Oakley. This is a great sale. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What in the heck is the matter with California Duncan Hunter? This representative from California, Duncan Hunter, and his wife, and I've seen him on TV at least 500 times. You have too. They were indicted by a federal grand jury yesterday on charges that they illegally spent more than $250,000 in campaign funds on vacations and personal items. Now, the indictment is one thing, and the actual finalization of these charges another. But if they come to fruition and are true, the illegal money spent took place from 2009 all the way through 2016. And it included family vacations to Italy, Hawaii, Phoenix, Arizona, Boise, Idaho, school tuition, dental work, theater tickets, domestic and international travel. What in the world were they thinking? Well, they weren't thinking. They were being very dumb and selfish if all of these charges come to fruition. One more reason. Both sides of the aisle deserve the scrutiny and our ire for not being honest, not being forthright, and not doing the job they were intended to do when we voted them in. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. You know, it just burns my bacon when I hear somebody say undocumented worker. They ought to all be tried. Anybody that would use that statement for murder, because they're accomplices to the guy that just killed the girl, and anybody else is killed in this country, and every crime that's committed by an illegal alien.
Well, look at
They're accomplices. They make it where they can do what they do.
Yeah. Well,
It's not right.
Jerry, just a minute. When you pause, I don't know if you're finished or not, so be more definitive on how you end your sentences. But let me ask you this. The sanctuary cities. I mean, I absolutely cannot see why the American public isn't in a complete outrage over the stupidity of having, and certain mayors trying to create even more, sanctuary policies to hide these people so that they can't be arrested and or sent back to their home country. I don't know what's going on in this country. I've never seen anything like this before.
Well, we need to enforce our laws. We need to enforce our borders. We need to stop the drug traffic coming across our borders, and we need to stop the illegal aliens from coming across our borders. If they're illegal, they should not be here, period. Yeah. And there's no excuse for, making it possible for them to stay here and live a decent life here. They should be hid out and running all the time for fear the law is going to get them.
Well, what good are laws? What good are paying these people to go back to Washington, D.C., whether they're Republican or Democrat? What good does it do to go through all the balderdash and all the other stuff to put them in a plush office back there and give them all the people that are secretaries, etc., if they're not going to do the job for their constituents?
Well, and that's... I agree 100% to that, and I don't agree with sanctuary cities in any way. And I've stopped talking so you can talk.
All right, listen, all I'm going to say is thank you for your thoughts, and I know you always speak from the heart. You're a good guy and a great friend of this program. Jerry, God bless you, man. Thanks. See you at Lunch Bunch.
You bet. You have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless you and everybody out there listening.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear what's going on in North Carolina? Yeah, students, 18, 19, and 20-year-old students, they've taken it upon themselves that they're going to cleanse the state of North Carolina, and they're toppling and breaking and smashing a lot of the Civil War monuments. They're not students. They're unlawful punks. Caller, quickly, I've got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, Zeb. One of the things that really irritates me about the illegal immigrant thing that comes up is people say we need them, so they'll do the jobs that Americans won't do. That's a bunch of baloney. You take somebody off of welfare and tell them, either you get a job or you go hungry. I can guarantee you people quit being lazy and they'll go back to work.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that aspect, though, Riley. I really am, because it is proven that we've created a society of dependency, of white dependency in this country. I'm going to blame the whites and Caucasians a lot on this problem. They can sit home, eat the bonbons, turn on the TV, and click to the channel that they want, and they don't have to go to work. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that we've got to pull the rug out from underneath them and give them 60 days and say, hey, partner, you're able-bodied, get up, go to work, or you're going to be doggone hungry at the end of the 60 days.
I agree. There's some people who actually genuinely need it, and they do their best with what they can, when they can, to help out other people's out in turn. I know people like that. But I also know many people who there ain't a dang thing wrong with them other than they found a way to milk the system and get around the end of it.
Absolutely agree with you. Totally agree with you. Riley, thank you for your call this morning.
You betcha.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I want to remind you about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Still got time for a road trip before the kids go back to school, depending on what school district they're in. Well, pack up the car. But wait a minute. Go to Les Schwab first. Go to any one of the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and make sure you've got safe tires before you leave on that road trip. Many of the tires right now they've got on sale for your cars, your pickups, your SUVs. Don't forget they always provide the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. Oh, they're there to serve you. Service is the key word. You stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lunch bunch tomorrow at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 11:30. Again, our thanks to Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Pomerelle Place and Denny's. Don't forget that 11:30 tomorrow. And coming up next hour, we've got Dave Bigo and a very nice lady. And she is the niece of Martin Luther King Jr., Evangelist Alveda King. All of that coming up in the next hour. Right now, Old Wheels doing a good job over there at our studio. He's kind of like a vulture just looking at everything on the board. And we're going to send it back over to him right now for some music before CBS News. Here we go, hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday already, August 22nd. Wow. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, we're going to have this good word about our dear friends at Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
Really, they live up to their slogan, always at your disposal, Western Way Services. And don't forget, they've got all the porta potties. I know that a harvest is starting up, cranking up, and you need those porta potties. They can deliver them to you. Having a great big, still a reunion or kind of a family gathering, yes, call for the porta potties. Very important. All you have to do is call the number 734-6969. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. I want to remind you, too, that on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia Regional Hospital, introduces you to all the dedicated people that are serving you, your friends, your neighbors. Cassia Regional Hospital, quality care close to home. Be listening tomorrow morning for that segment at 9:17. Cassia Regional Hospital, as I said, the best, serving you right here in this area, Cassia Regional Hospital. Also, real quick, thank you to our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary, and I mean that. Joel Heward, family, staff, serving you. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, the number to remember, 436-5636. I'll repeat it again, 436-5636. And Hanson Mortuary and Joel Heward and his staff always treating you and your family with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity during a very difficult time when there's the passing of a loved one. Call them and find out more about the pre-planning of funerals. Hanson Mortuary, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Going to go to the phone line right now, and with the heavy smoke that we have here in this area, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it this bad. My throat is about ready to give out, so the next 26 minutes are going to be all filled by the voice of Dave Bigo. Take it away, Dave.
Good morning, Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, it's not even funny. Have you seen what's going on out here?
Yeah, I know it's bad out there, but I had to say that because I think your wife kind of, in her email to me yesterday, kind of insinuated that you were Smokey the Bear, and I emailed her back saying, yeah, I'll be on. And by the way, are you calling Zeb Smokey the Bear? So I had to call you that this morning.
Well, you know, I'm sitting here, and to the right side, and Wheels, we've got a lot of feedback. Ride that game, my friend. I'm sitting here in my studio, and honestly, Dave, looking out the back window into my pastures, etc., you can't hardly see the neighbors down the road a mile with their barns, etc. It's that thick, and it's getting worse all the time.
Yeah, I feel sorry for you guys out there. I don't think I told you this last week, but over the weekend of August 4th, we were out in Colorado, and you couldn't see the mountains out there because of all the haze and smoke from out in your area in California. Plus, they've got some fires in northwest Colorado and southeast Colorado too, and it's so depressing to not be able to see that beautiful scenery out there.
Absolutely. Well, listen, let's go to the absolutely depressing scenery of politics. What did you think about now some of the counts that were pressed against Paul Manafort are coming to fruition? Judge guilty on 8 counts, and then the other case with Cohen, former attorney for Trump. They're thinking he's going to sing like a bird and create more problems for the Trump administration. This is all garbage and trash as far as I'm concerned. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, this is part of the far left, the deep state, trying to bring down Trump and this administration, and and especially with the midterm elections coming up, they're trying to throw the Republicans in the trash can so they can gain control of the House and Senate and impeach Trump. And people have got to understand this is what this is all about. This has nothing to do with what's right for the American people.
No, I agree with you, but, I don't know what's going to happen in politics, but I said the first hour, and I'd like to get your response on this. I said the first hour that everything, both sides of the aisles, Republican and Democrat, is the swamp is getting full of more raw sewage. They're not doing anything. They're not addressing the problems and the issues to help their constituents. And both sides of the aisle, are as guilty as sin for not doing the job we hired them for.
Well, yeah, and this comes back to where our country has gone over, the past 50, 60 years or more with politicians. They're getting paid so well and benefits, and they stay there long enough, they get retirement income and benefits that are so high and all that all these people want to do. It's all about getting votes to stay in office. It's not about what's doing right for this country and the American people. And, we got to get back to where we actually have people that run for office and stay there for a couple terms and do the right things for America, and they go back to work in the private sector.
What are your thoughts about some of the delays and the absolutely ridiculous opinions by some that are against Brett Kavanaugh for his appointment to the Supreme Court?
It's the same thing. The Democrats are trying to take control, and they want to be able to control all the branches of the government, and that's what this is all about. And they don't want him in there, and they're gonna push hard against this. And I think before the Senate looks at confirming him, I think they're going to push it down the road, and they're going to try and wait till after the elections.
You do really, huh? I say, you really do think they're going to wait till after November?
I think they're going to try. Because, if they can and they can get away with it, they're going to try and strip the Supreme Court and in other areas in that. This is all about control. And, I've talked about this many times, and, it's something that the American people need to wake up to, and we've got to get our political system changed in background. We need term limits, and we got to get the people in there that are doing the right things for this country.
Dave, let me ask you this. You and I are fairly close to the same age. I know you're so much older than I am, but I'm being polite. But have you ever in your lifetime seen a committee or an investigation like the Mueller probe where they literally are put together to basically create a crime and create a motive and create individuals involved instead of studying a criminal offense and trying to come up with indictments? It's complete reversal.
It is, and it's these people have been, again, a lot of these people have been working in Washington. They may not be in the political part of it, but they've become part of the political part of it, and they're there to keep their jobs and to control this country and do things the way they want done. And we just can't have that anymore, Zeb. Mueller's, he's part of this whole, and there's some people now calling them oligarchs that are trying to bring down the president and the country.
If you were President Trump today, and you knew all this garbage was just being nothing but a total exhaustive effort to just elongate the problem and condemn the Republican Party and hopefully put the Democrats into power in November, would you look at Mueller, call him up on the phone and say, okay, enough is enough. Friday morning, have your desk cleaned out, that's it, we quit?
Yeah, I would have been addressing some of these people way before this, because it's just not the politicians; it's the people that have been put into these positions and have tried to, behind the scenes, done not good things for this country and try to control it. And you have to understand, Zeb, and this goes back to what I've talked about over and over again. And some old-time historical figures have even said this about this country. If you remember Nikita Khrushchev, he said, "We do not have to invade the United States. We will destroy you from within."
Yep.
And that's what's happening now. And then, Abraham Lincoln, one of our great presidents, said, "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves." And that's the kind of philosophy that's going on the left.
And really, both sides of the aisle share a guilt. I mean, look at Duncan Hunter from California. You've seen him on television, on newscasts, as he stands up there for what everything is perceived to be right in the American way. Now, he's being indicted on charges of that he and his wife illegally spent more than $250,000 in campaign funds on vacations and personal items. What is the matter with these people? Can't they realize their stupidity?
No, this is what they do, and back to my book and being attacked by the SEIU and that, I understand all these things because I was attacked in the same way, and they threw out stuff that they don't care whether it's true or there's detail or anything to it at all. They do it just to throw it out there to make you look bad in front of the American people and the press and all that kind of stuff, and their intent is for you to just back down and move on and get out of their hair. And this is what it's all about. And I have to tell you, I was up at Trine University on Monday. It was Tri-State when I finished college up there. But one of the professors that was there when I was there, and he also worked in the athletic department, he read my book back in December last year, January, and he had Trine invite me up there, and I was up there for 4 or 5 hours and talking to the president and their executives and seeing the changes they've made up there and everything. Had lunch with them, and one of the things that this gentleman said, and he says, "Dave," he says, "I read your book. Everything you say is true." He says, "After I retired from Tri-State Trine," he says, "I got into business myself, and I had to deal with the unions and the left and everything they're doing." He says, "You're exactly right, and what you're saying is that their goal is to bring down this country."
Absolutely. But, in going back a step or two in regards to Duncan Hunter, Republican from California, If, underline the word if, all the charges that he's been indicted for come to fruition, Dave, what in the world could be their mindset? Do they not understand that these are going to come out? Do they not understand that $250,000 spent on their own personal use, whether it's vacations or dental work or theater tickets, all of this is going to creep out from underneath the rug? What is the matter with politicians today?
Again, they're politicians, okay? They're not business people. And that's the one thing about Trump. He's a business person. He understands it. He gets it. He knows what it takes to run this country and, you know, our free markets and all that stuff. And too many people, you know, have just, they spent their life in politics. They don't understand how our capitalistic society works. And that's why a lot of them, even on both sides of the aisle, tend to be socialist.
Absolutely. I got to ask you about this, and again, Wheels over at the station, a little feedback here, please. North Carolina students are taking it upon themselves, like punks and thugs, to go and topple and destroy Civil War monuments. I was against and damned these people when it started around the country about 6-8 months ago, and here they are doing it again. What right and what social conscious mind do they have above everybody else that they can purge all these monuments and destroy public property?
Well, it should be an offense, and they should be arrested for it. And, you know, the thing is, but you have so many people that control what's going on in this country from the left, and that you know, they just look at it and say, well, it's their freedom of speech. They can do what they want to do. That's part of America. Well, we're a nation of laws too, and people got to be held accountable for obeying our laws. And if they break them, they need to face the persecution for it.
One of the stories that I was even hesitant to bring up again this morning because it really brings tears to my eyes is the sad story about the University of Iowa sophomore, Molly Tibbetts. Her body, after 30-some days, found in a cornfield in Iowa, killed by an illegal alien. Please, your thoughts.
Well, it's tremendously sad, and you know, we go back to, you know, the left defending open borders and letting people in, and you know, they don't have to have security clearances and all that kind of stuff, and background checks, and but again, it goes back, Zeb, and again, I wrote blogs about this. What needs to be done down there is we're a nation of laws, and we have to stand by our laws and enforce them, and but the left and the unions, they want these type people in because, and I don't know if you saw it the other day, they're looking at bringing out a bill that, in many states in that will make sure that the election process is legal. But a lot of these people are being brought to the polls and allowed to vote, even though they're not registered or they're not legal Americans and stuff like that. And that's all about control because they're trying to get people elected that will be swayed and do the things that they want them to do. You know, like say the unions, the left, and Soros, and those type people.
Well, you know, I mentioned in the first hour, and I think it's really true, that when they have these congressional hearings on television and these politicians, they stick out their chest and they act with such a high, elevated manner, and all this is showmanship. They're really not serving the country. They're really not solving any problems. All they're doing is telling their constituents at home on these congressional hearings, look at me, vote for me in the next election, and I'm sick of it.
Yep, that's exactly right. And again, it all comes back to the fact that we have people that all they want to be is politicians. They don't want to have to really go out and really work, okay, and work hard and persevere in the private sector. And that's what we need, and that's why we need term limits. And we need to get it done.
How do we go about approaching this? How do we put it forth? I am not arguing your point at all. As a matter of fact, I'm joining the march with you. But how are we going to get it done?
Well, you know, we'll see what happens in this election. But if the Republican Party keeps a majority in that, Trump needs to go out and push a bill that will incorporate term limits for the House and the Senate, and that way, we'll get back to the point where we have people that are running that they can only be there for a couple terms, and then they got to go back to the private sector and work, and so they need to do what's right for America, and I think that'll make a big change. But this election is going to be the turning point, I think, on a lot of things.
I agree. By the way, I did a little research. Wheels again, the feedback, please. I did a little research, and I found out today is National Tooth Fairy Day. And then I got to thinking about you, and I thought, if you put your dentures under your pillow tonight, you could become a millionaire.
Well, I wish I had dentures, but that ain't going to happen.
I'm sorry, I just had to throw that at you.
That's okay. That's okay, Smokey the Bear.
There you go. Look out for my shovel. Anyway, Dave Bego, God bless you, and thank you for being on the program this morning. Always look forward to Wednesdays. Take care, my dear friend.
Well, thank you, and tell your wife I appreciated her comment.
All right, take care of yourself. Great author, businessman, Dave Bego, the author of great books like The Devil at Our Doorstep, The Devil at My Doorstep, and really understands the problems with unions in this country today. Great, great guy, Dave Bego. I want to remind you about Ark Animal Hospital. Yes, it's 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Oh, my goodness, they're a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, little bitty kitty cats all the way up to great big dairy cattle. They can take care of your animals. And they're urging you to watch out for cheatgrass or foxtails. They get underneath the skin of your pets, and then you've got trouble in River City. So make sure you take care of your animals, and always get a hold of Ark Animal Hospital. Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, the whole crew at Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. The number to call, 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. While I have a moment before we go to our next guest, a lovely lady, and that is Evangelist Elvita King coming on the program this morning, I want to remind you, too, about our dear friend Anthony at Save on Shells, 1027 Overland in Burley. Now, you knew, I talked about it, I had traded pickups and I needed a new camper shell, so I go over there to Anthony and I said, I want a good one. Woo, did he get me a good one. ARE camper shells. And they can custom fit any truck on the road. They've got a tremendous selection of new and used shells over at Save on Shells. Easy to find, 1027 Overland in Burley. Take it from me. Great service, super products at Save on Shells. 1027 Overland in Burley. Call him at 312-1525. Oh, my goodness sakes. Tomorrow is Lunch Bunch, Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. We will look forward to seeing you there. Call your friends and neighbors, Aunt Martha, Uncle Fred, whatever. Get them all scheduled. Pick them up and bring them to Lunch Bunch at 11:30. And that's at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And, of course, we want to say thank you to all of our donations for our gift certificates. Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Palmer L Place, Denny's Restaurant. Woo! Lots of goodies at Zeb's Lunch Bunch tomorrow at 11:30. Don't you miss it at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Now, I believe we're going to be talking to LeGrand over there tomorrow and telling us all about the great carpet buys, telling us all about the great furniture buys, all about the great mattress buys. I mean, whatever you need for the beautification and the comfort of your home, look no further than the good folks, great folks at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They're located at 459 Overland in Burley and ready to serve you. Jeff and the rest of the crew over there, they've got a staff of people that are so knowledgeable, so helpful. Get in there today. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Really nice people. You know, I am kind of putting things together here a little bit so I don't have to interrupt our next guest with a spot break. And I also want to tell you about our dear friends over at Let's Ride. Ho, ho, ho. Get your motor running. I'm telling you what, Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And they've got all the ATVs. You walk in that showroom, stop right after you open the door and look to the left, look to the right, and say, how in the world did they park all these things in here anyway? They've got them all the ATVs. They got the brand new Maverick Sport side-by-side. They have got an inventory. And they're having a big blowout closing on the watercrafts. Get in there today to Let's Ride. Super accessory department and the best doggone service department around. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And they are definitely the place where the fun is sold. Right now, and I am so honored to have this lady on our program, and I've seen her and listened to her many, many, many times on television, and I'm humbled to have her on the show this morning. I would like to introduce right now Evangelist Alveda King, Director of Civil Rights for the Unborn for Priests for Life. Ms. King, good morning, and how are you?
I'm just wonderful, and I was listening to you as you were talking to your listeners. So hello, everybody. I think I've got about 6 or 7 minutes for you. I'm sorry. It's just one of those days.
No, I understand. I understand. I'm having one of those days myself, so we're both kind of suffering in misery with the time constraints. But tell me a little bit about your being the director of Civil Rights for the Unborn for Priests for Life. What does that mean? Please give us a thumbnail sketch.
Well, I've been a voice for life since 1983 when I became born again, and that means that sanctity of life from the womb, conception or fertilization until natural death. That's the babies in the womb, little babies, young people, old people, sick people, rich people, poor people, people. And so the sanctity of all human life. At Civil Rights for the Unborn, we educate about the harmful impact of abortion and why abortion is wrong. And we want to end abortion, not just legal abortion, but abortion. We want a woman to feel as though she has other alternatives than the death of the baby, because it's going to make the woman sick too. Abortion for women is linked to breast cancer, cervical cancer, depression, substance abuse, all kinds of things. So there has to be a better way. I head up the Civil Rights for the Unborn for Priests for Life under the leadership of Father Frank Pavone and Janet Morana and a wonderful team of associates in an administration. And so I go around the world as an advocate for life. And that means we don't want to kill old people, sick people, babies in the womb. We don't want human trafficking, all of that kind of thing.
Let me ask you this, Ms. King. Do you feel in your travels, and especially here in this country, with a new concept and a new thought that's going on and permeating this country, that we, the United States, we have lost the respect for the right to life?
For a period of time we did, but now we know that more than 50% of Americans realize that euthanasia, that's killing sick people and old people, that abortion, killing babies in the womb, once people begin to see what that is and understand, then they'll say that's not right. Father Frank Pavone, taking a page from the book of my uncle Martin Luther King Jr., my dad, Reverend A.D. King, and granddaddy, Daddy King, in the 60s, America will not reject abortion or euthanasia until America sees it and sees what it looks like. And in our time, when I was a youth organizer in 1960, for example, there were images of people being slaughtered and beat and hurt and killed with bombs and water hoses and dogs. And people said, oh, my God, is this really going on? So when people begin to see the crimes against humanity that are still going on today, abortion, human trafficking, euthanasia, those types of things, racism, slavery, and we're one blood. Acts 17:26. God made us one blood. President Trump says we all bleed the same. Doesn't matter what color our skin is. So once when we consider that, we've got to find a better way to serve women, children, men, families, individuals, Americans, and people around the world.
To elaborate a little bit on your point, Ms. King, before I have to let you go, I know that you're a civil rights activist, and I will say this. Unfortunately, I think our country has slipped dramatically in the treatment of all people, all races in this country. And I think right now we are almost as bad as we were in the 60s, and we've got to change this slide and this decline, and everybody has got to work harder to have a more copacetic society. Where are we, in your opinion?
We are not as bad as we were in the 60s. In 63, I was in a home, my daddy and mom's, AD&M in King's house. It was bombed. I was laying in the bed, for example. But they are bombing and shooting up schools and all that kind of thing now. But remember, we all bleed the same. Acts 17:26, we can learn to live together as brothers and sisters and not perish as fools because we are human beings. We're not even separate races. There's no such thing as separate races. That's the human race. So we can really embrace that and love each other and resolve our differences, we'll make a difference. And I want everybody to know, if you just do your part, you don't have to do it all. Just do your part.
One last thought, if I may, please. I know that you're an evangelist, and when you stand up at the pulpit and look at your congregate members and preach the good word of God, but I will ask you this. Do you think that other ministers, other church leaders around the country are doing what they need to or all they can do to help the situation in this country?
We can all do more. Try to Google this. I think it's out there. Google Alveda King sings "People Need the Lord," because we sure do. So if we can do our part, it'll be a better world.
You know, I know you have to go, but would you please at least extend to me the opportunity to have you back on in the future?
I'll come again. Find me at civilrightsfortheunborn.com or alvedaking.com. I'll come back.
Thank you so much, and I mean this. God bless you, Alveda King. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Nice lady right there. I was not aware that we were having a 6-minute time constraint. I thought we'd have a good solid 10 to 12 minutes, but a very nice lady, and I would appreciate your phone calls right now. Come on, audience. This is your program. Call in and let us know your thoughts. Alveda King, as you know, she is the niece of Martin Luther King Jr. There were a lot of things I wanted to get into in regards to that, her evangelism, her pro-life advocacy and everything, but we will have her on at another time. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't leave me hanging. Give me a call. I'd appreciate it. When you think about life insurance and health insurance and retirement planning and employee benefits, don't hesitate. Pick up the phone and call Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, 436-4424. They are dedicated and responsive to your needs, and very accessible, too. So remember, all this coverage and the knowledge with Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Highway 24 in Rupert. That number again, 436-4424. Your turn, please. I'm begging you to call, because this old smoke, I've got the windows open in here because it's really stuffy in the studio, and I would appreciate your calls. I have never felt like I've smoked about 17 packs of cigarettes. Not that I smoke. I remember way back in college, I thought I'd have the real bright, shining moment of going home and showing my dad and mother that I could smoke, and that didn't last long. I couldn't handle it. I'm glad I quit. But right now, it's terrible outside with all the smoke, and I urge people with health conditions, please be careful. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, yeah, I loved your statement your last guest said. She said, there are no races. We are all the human race. I thought that was excellent.
Well, isn't it true?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're doggone right, it's true. You know, here's the thing that bugs me, and caller, talk back to me on this. We all sit there And everybody seems to have their prejudices and their already made-up motives why they don't want to get along with somebody. Listen, I take people at face value. I don't care if you're green or if you're polka dot. If you're nice to me, my wife, and my family, I will extend the same overture to you and hopefully become friends. But don't force, and when I say don't force your likes and dislikes on me that I have to follow suit with what you adhere everyone else to follow, because I'm not going to do that. And that's where I get my dander up. What are your thoughts?
I feel exactly the same, because, you know, when you're filling out a form for somewhere, they ask your race. Well, I always draw my own box in and write Homo sapien.
The human race. Absolutely. You know, this lady that I just had on the program, Alveda King, I know that she is a former member of the Georgia House of Representatives, and she's got such a great past. I mean, as far as working with people, helping various groups. I'm going to have her back, and we're going to talk longer in the future, but it's this kind of thing that we need to do and nurture on this program to let everybody know, whether you're white, whether you're brown, whether you're black, whether you're, I don't care, like I said, green or polka dots, we can all get along if we'll sit down and visit with each other about the problems. And he's gone.
And I do what you do. I treat people exact same way I want to be treated, and I don't care what color they are.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you for your call. I appreciate that. You know, this is a very nice lady, and in preliminary discussions getting her on the air, I mean, she's a very nice lady, very sought after for being a speaker, and like I said earlier, she's, of course, a lady that has been involved in so many things. She is an actress, a singer, a songwriter, a blogger, an author, an evangelist, and why not respect? And why not sit down and visit about what she has done and accomplished, and others maybe can pick up some of the fine points and they can achieve that too. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You, did the smoke get in your eyes out there this morning to where you don't dial the telephone? Please give me a jingle, and I'd love to hear from you. So get on the line and give us a call. A little story that I had on yesterday, and I'm a little hesitant to even talk about it some more, but it just shows the complete disdain for being civilized that's happening around the world. I mentioned this yesterday, and I had a lady call me on my cell phone after the program, and she says, "Oh, come on, you're making that up." No, I did not. Over in France, and if you do have small children in the room, I suggest maybe ushering them into another little playroom, shut the door, whatever. Over in France, with the influx of approximately 400,000 illegal migrants coming into the city of France, the government and city council members of etc. in Paris have decided to install open-air urinals. The street urinals are the latest attempt by the city of Paris in combating what has become a public health crisis in the French capital. And with the rise of the refugee population, the French officials are reluctant to admit that they have a major citywide sanitation issue. And when I was studying this story for air on the program this morning, I thought, wow, we've got the same problem in San Francisco and other cities. San Francisco, according to some of my friends that had visited there recently, it's turned into an open sewage pit. And city residents over in Paris complained regarding the immodest sight of seeing the bright red urinals. But what are they going to do? They've got people living on the streets and urinating and defecating on the streets, and the drug usage with the needles, etc. We have the same thing, Sodom and Gomorrah. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we just going to let this problem exacerbate itself, or are we going to be like the city of Paris and go the same way? Go the same way. The local mayor of Paris defended the policy of turning a once wondrous city into an open outhouse, and he called these filthy receptacles an invention of genius. Ay, ay, ay. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? How would you like to be a business owner there? How would you like to be an art gallery near there? Or a museum? Whatever. Human beings have lost their class. And we're going down the ladder in a rapid rate. And it won't be long before we're at the bottom rung. Give me your thoughts. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I think I'll do a weather forecast real quick, and hopefully we'll hear from you good folks out in the audience this morning. Don't forget Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years, with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, bookkeeping services, payroll services, retirement planning. The list goes on, and I urge you to get a hold of them today. They can and they will help you, especially with the tax rate changes and the deduction changes, etc. Get a hold of them today. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's the weather.
Nice to have a few rain showers for this morning. Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. This rain and thunderstorms could continue off and on throughout the entirety of the day. Some of these storms today could produce gusty winds. Areas of smoke are still going to persist. However, we are going to see some sunshine today, expecting a high of 81. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 6 miles an hour, becoming north-northeast later on in the day. For tonight, areas of smoke, mostly clear skies with a low of 51. Tomorrow, it is going to be smoky again due to the area wildfires north of Boise, and then we've got a whole bunch of wildfires in Oregon and Washington that are making their smoke prevalent in our area. Looking at a high of 85 tomorrow. Tomorrow night, expecting a low of 52, and by Friday, smoky, sunny, and a high of 83. So that's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. Always a great forecast, and provided to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Okay, come on. No more excuses. Give me a call. Do I have to bribe you? Do I have to bribe somebody to call and talk to me about the various issues this morning? Okay, I'll do it. The first person that calls gets a free lunch at Lunch Bunch tomorrow. All you have to do is just give me your ticket, okay? There you go. I bribed you. Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a jingle. George Mass wants me to remind you while I'm waiting for your call about a third annual patriotic car show, and this is going to be called Standing for the Red, White, and Blue. It's going to be on September 8th from 10 to 4, and they're going to have all kinds of beautiful bikes and boats and cars and entertainment and vendors and food, heavy on the emphasis on food, and it's going to be on Fremont Street in Rupert, and lots of great people putting this all together. For more information, get a hold of George Mass at 650-0104 for the third annual Patriotic Car Show, Standing for the Red, White, and Blue. Perfect timing. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
How are you?
Truck driver, buddy.
Yes, sir. Good to have you calling in. What can I do for you?
Well, I agree with you on all of this stuff about those open-air urinals in Paris, France. I mean, come on, people. Have a little bit of modesty here.
Is it just modesty, or is it that the human beings and civilization has gone so low down the ladder that people don't care anymore? I just find this so repulsive. I hope it doesn't happen here, but what are you going to do about what the mess is in San Francisco? It's almost as bad.
Well, the problem in San Francisco, I can see, which is different than this thing that's going on in Paris, France, is that there's the drug use, the homelessness, the bums, those kind of people that live on the streets. They don't have any. They're uncouth, you might say. They don't care. They've lost their class, as you say.
I don't see how anybody, and I need your help on this one, I don't see how anybody can let themselves go. And I know there's circumstances that happen in life to where you lose a job, you lose your home, maybe it's through a health problem or whatever the case might be. You might absolutely become destitute and hit the bottom and bounce. But I was listening to a lady on TV the other night, and she lost everything. She lost everything because of her drug abuse. And she literally said, it's time to pull myself up by my own bootstraps. And now this lady is on the way back. She owns a couple of companies. She is really a important part in the cog in the wheel for progressive business in this country. I think no matter how low you go, if you just stop and say, Lord, I need help, I've got to get out of this mess, I don't think there's an excuse that somebody can't better their situation.
Well, I agree with that story there that woman is bringing herself back up, and that's a good thing. But a lot of the things I think that are happening in some of the larger inner cities in our country, I think there's a bit of mental disorder here with these people that are living on the streets and defecating in the streets, urinating in the streets, sleeping on park benches, along with alcoholism. There's all these contributors to these problems.
Well, wait a minute.
The only way that's going to solve that is to get those people help.
I agree, but what you just said, it makes a lot of sense. I will say this. By building or constructing and taking taxpayer money to build open-air urinals, which I find so totally offensive, I hate to even mention it on the air, you have a government that is enabling the problem to get bigger. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, and if they want to put out places where people can do their bodily functions, so to speak, why don't they just rent these porta potties and set them up around the city?
Well, I'm just not so concerned about that as much as I am finding out why these people have lowered their standards and lowered their human qualities to the point where they have to live that kind of a life. I know that there are drug abusers. I know there are people with mental problems, but they're not all with that same problem. We've got to clean up these countries, and especially right here in America. San Francisco is a disgrace. San Francisco is a beautiful city. It's a fantastic city, and it's been relegated to be an open pit garbage dump.
Oh, yeah, and I listened to one of the other talk show hosts that actually lives in that city, and he says it's absolutely disgusting. He says you go downtown, and the stench is just overwhelming.
I can't even imagine. Well, what are your thoughts? If you were mayor for a day, quickly, I've only got a couple of seconds left. If you were mayor for a day of San Francisco, what would you do?
First of all, I would get these people that have these problems, that have lost their will to be citizens, of good quality, and I would ask them if they want help. If they do, great, we'll give it to them. As far as the defecation and urination in the cities and stuff, I'd make, like I said, porta potties available to them, because those things are serviced, by the company on every couple of days. So, how can you, that's just one way of reducing the problem in the city.
But somewhere along the line, and I do appreciate your call, somewhere along the line there has to be an uplifting of personal pride. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir, I would. Because it's pride that makes a society that works and doesn't become a problem,
Absolutely.
Like has happened in these bigger cities. These problems are a lack of pride, just like, if you take, people are animals, basically. We're an animal. And any time you take away I don't know what you would call it, but the incentive for somebody to be, I'm lost of words here, but anyway, to be a good citizen, I guess.
Yeah.
Then they revert back, towards the caveman. And
well, I think one way of putting it would be that they revert through laziness and not having personal pride or personal caring about their career and their success. They revert back to the easy way out.
Yeah, the easy thing, the giving of, the governments that give them food stamps, give them money, give them all this stuff for nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, Zebra. Well, I'm at my destination, so I got to go.
All right. Well, listen, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your call.
Lunch bunch.
I appreciate your call. God bless you. Drive safely. Thank you very, very much.
You too. Bye-bye now.
I read this story about Paris, France, and I read about all that's going on in Frisco. I've talked to people that live down there. What is the matter with society today? I mean, don't give me this static of, I don't like Trump and I don't like this administration. Don't give me that. It boils down to a matter of personal pride. Personal pride. And the left, with these punks and thugs that are burning and looting and the mess in Frisco and other cities, Chicago falling apart at the seams because of a total lack of leadership. New York with Bill de Blasio. Oh, there's a real smart guy. Whew. Go to the head of the class, Bill. I mean, we've got to clean this country up. The November elections are not that far away. And your vote is going to decide a lot of things in the future. Good, bad, and ugly. You need to go vote. We're going to send this back over to my itty-bitty buddy Wheels over at the main studios in just a moment. He's going to be at Lunch Bunch tomorrow. Coming up next hour, we've got author Jim Schreiner at 10:06. Don't miss it. Wheels, take it away. Good morning. Good morning. Smoky outside. Be careful out there, folks. I've never seen the smoke this thick right here out the back window of the old ranch, and it's not good. It is not good, so be careful. Zeb at the Ranch, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Don't forget Zeb's Lunch Bunch tomorrow at 11:30 at Denny's America's Diner, and we will see you there. Right now, we're going to have an interview with a gentleman that has not been on my program before, I don't think, and I'm looking forward to visiting with him. He is the author of the new book, Jesus Christ, Enough Already. Jim Schreiner. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I got to tell you how excited I am to be on this show. If I come across as enthusiastic and energizing, it's because I am. I'm pumped up.
Well, I tell you, I like that kind of an attitude, and I think to start things off on the interview, I don't know you, you don't know me, but I'd like to learn a lot more about who you are. Give me a thumbnail sketch.
Well, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I was blessed in my life. I was married to a wonderful woman who passed away recently from cancer. That's what we're going to talk about in a little bit, but I was one of the original gladiators on the show out in California. A lot of people may remember me. I was Lightning. I was one of the American gladiators. If you Google Jim Schreiner, you'll see my 15 minutes of fame that I seem to have turned into a career. I've been developing infomercials. I developed nutritional products, and then I licensed them to companies. I produced the commercial for that product. My biggest hit was an arthritis formula called Arthro-D, Arthritis Defense, and it's still one of the top-selling joint support products. Now, what's interesting is where we're going to go to today is I've made a living in the Catholic and Christian organization. I was a Catholic because of my heritage. My mother and father were Catholics, and then my father decided to become a born-again Christian and get into Southern Baptist Christianity. And so I was a Christian and promoted Christian healing. I had a Christian television program called Getting Fit with Jim. I've worked with the Pat Robertsons and the Robert Schulers and you name them. I mean, the list goes on and on. I've been as deep as you can get into Catholic and Christianity as you can get. As a matter of fact, at one time I thought I was even going to become a pastor. And in the interim, and this is where we're going to get to about this sex scandal that's going on, the reason for the title of the book is I was standing in a hospital room when my wife had both of her feet amputated, and the surgeon came in and said that the infection had got in her spine. So not only did they remove her feet, but they were going to have to go in and do an emergency surgery to try to save her life. And that's the first time I can remember voicing out loud the words, Jesus Christ, enough already. If this divine healer is out there, why isn't he helping my wife? And in the room was a priest, 4 deacons from our church at the time, and they were laying hands on my wife, praying for a miraculous healing. And I remember at that point asking them, wait a second, do you actually believe that God is going to reach down out of the sky and grow my wife's new limbs? And with an astounding yes, everyone in the room said, absolutely. And that's when I had my first epiphany, and I said again, Jesus Christ, enough already. I did not believe that that was going to happen. No one has ever instantaneously grown a new limb. No one was going to reach out of the sky and grow my wife's new limbs. So at that point, my science background jumped in, and I went back to my education and said, wait a second, instead of looking at any type of a divine healer, we need to study science, medicine, and health and healing, and that's what I've done over the last 20 or 30 years. I've applied my education, my nutritional background, and my exercise background, and I've developed systems to help people heal. Now, I'm pretty sure the reason why you have me on the show, and I write about this in the book, Jesus Christ, enough already, is I came within seconds of being one of the victims in the church. And in the book, I write a very descriptive and graphic portray of me walking in on one of my best friends being molested by a priest.
Ooh.
At the last hour, the publisher, which I'm proud to say I'm with Mascot Publishing, they were one of the only publishers that would take on this book because it is very controversial. And I lay out in there the corruption and the lies and the deceitful practices that's going on, not only in Catholicism but Christianity. Nobody else would take on the project. But at the last hour, they wanted to pull that story because it was so graphic and so detailed. And I said, guys, you're not pulling it. It's my life story. This book is word for word in my autobiography. It needs to stay because the world needs to hear this story. Because I need people to not only read it and to hear it, but they need to feel it. And I think that the story will allow the listener, the viewer, the reader to feel it. You know, I've got 2 retired physicians that are dear friends of mine who were counselors, psychologists that were treating these boys who were being molested, several of which have went on to commit suicide. And I don't think that people understand the magnitude of what was going on. We were entrusted to this Catholic Church. We were entrusted to this priest to be our advocate. We were confessing our sins. We were altar boys. We were following all the rules. And not only did they betray our trust, but they abused this whole system spiritually, physically, emotionally. And these kids, me being one, have still not recovered. And this, I still to this day can't understand why this is not front page news every single day. It is an epidemic that has been going on for decades, and it needs to be shut down. Somebody needs to step in and shut this down because it's horrible. And I mean, like I said, I'm literally on a soapbox now in my RV, traveling the country, preaching this for as high as I can preach it, because These kids need an advocate. Somebody needs to step in. These priests need to be chaperoned. I know we'll never be able to shut it down. You know, I was on an interview yesterday, and the guy interviewing said, Jim, you can't shut down the Catholic Church. I know that's a big ask. So I said, instead of shutting it down, why don't we make the priests have a chaperone? I mean, you can't go to the doctor without your doctor being chaperoned. He's not even allowed to be alone in a room with another person, whether it be a child or an adult. I don't understand why it could be that difficult to cause these priests to have a chaperone. Chaperone them 24/7 so they are never alone in the room with anyone, male, female, adult, child, it doesn't matter. We have got to step in and do something because this is at epidemic proportions in the world, and it needs to be stopped now. And I'm hoping this is a fight that I'm going to fight, and I'm not going to give up. I'm not going anywhere. You will read some very graphic stories in this book, Jesus Christ Enough Already, about the corruption and the lies and the money and the harm that this organization is doing to us. We need people to fight this fight for the people who can't fight, and that's why I'm so emotionally attached to this. And I'm literally all in. I sold my beach house. I'm in my RV. I'm promoting this book, and I'm traveling the country, and I'm going to shout as loud as I can shout until somebody listens and says, hey, we're going to step in, and we're going to make a difference.
Jim.
That's me, yeah.
What do you do to create and solve this problem as far as how do you heal the church? How do you heal all the years of this going on? How do you promote the church in the future and tell the general public that no, the Catholic Church is not like it used to be, it is now healed? How do you do that? How do you build a new structure for church and believers to attend the church?
If you want my honest opinion, I'm a truth seeker, I don't think it can be done. I know that sounds ludicrous, and my dad was an engineer for Cummins, and he used to tell me every day, Jim, anything can be fixed. Figure out how it's broken and fix it. Well, first off, we have not really even attempted to fix this. I mean, they've dabbled at it. It comes on the news every now and then, but nobody's really stepped in and fixed it. I think the challenge that we have is because it is a religious institution, it's like taboo, nobody wants to touch it. If this were a business, I mean, if this were Walmart or Amazon or a business, and this was going on in a formal business, a for-profit corporation, I don't think it would have taken anybody any time to shut it down. I mean, the government or a private institution would have shut it down. But the problem is now you're talking about a religious organization, which now in the United States and even the world is almost like taboo. You can't talk about it, you can't touch it, you can't be associated with it. And the government's kind of taken a position that says, hey, let's just let them figure it out. But I think the biggest challenge is not that it was going on, but the epidemic was the fact that how diligently they have done a good job of trying to cover it up. So not only did they move these priests around, which the priest that's in the hometown of my deceased wife is currently one of them that's serving a prison sentence for this abuse. And he was moved and moved and moved. And I don't care what anybody says. I can prove to you that the Catholic Church has been covering this up for decades. They were moving priests. They were shuffling papers because the last thing they wanted people to see what was going on in the inside because they would never be able to be trusted again. But now that it's come to light, I'm not sure that there's going to be enough damage control to fix it. I'm just being honest. I don't think so. I don't think you can repair this.
Well, Jim,
in the meantime, we need to stop it. We need to get an advocate in there to shut it down while they try to figure out how to prevent it from happening again and how to do some climate control, how to clean it up. But personally, I don't think it can be fixed. I don't think it can be rectified. I think this is, and again, not just the abuse, but the abuse and power at the top of how they just spend so much time and energy shuffling papers and covering it up. This is, to me, one of the biggest scandals that has ever hit humanity. You know, we need to address this now because it is a major issue that is affecting humanity, not just religion, not just organized religion, but it is affecting humanity. And I practice a philosophy called humanism. While we're trying to fix these broken issues with religion, we need to practice humanism, and that is humans being kind to humanity, humans being kind to other humans. That's what we should all be focusing on. How can we make humanity a better place? Forget about it as a religion. We need to figure out how to fix this to make humanity a better place. And it could not have come at a worse time. You know, the world is searching for answers. We're hurting. We've got so much pain out there. Now you're taking a religious institution that was supposed to be here to help us improve humanity, to help us form a bond, and they literally shot themselves in the foot at the very top. And they shuffled papers, and they have literally taken this corrupt institution and caused it more harm to humanity. I mean, in the name of God, these guys have caused more harm to humanity than any form of cancer that I can think of.
Well, Jim, let me interrupt you for a second. Let me interrupt you for a second with a question.
I'm really not sure it can be fixed.
Jim, when you look at the overall picture, it's not just the Catholic Church. And I want to emphasize this evil that's permeated the Catholic Church and the molestation of children and others is more hurtful to all organized religion. In this day and age, I firmly believe we need God more than ever. And all of this is just another smokescreen for evil to take over and suppress religion, and people are going to look at it that way, I believe.
I agree with that, and it's interesting you say that. One of the projects I'm working on is not only am I promoting this book, but I want to produce a Netflix special, and if anybody wants to be a part of this, please go to jimschreiner.com and be a part of what we're building. We're going to produce a Netflix special. As I said earlier, we need humans looking out for other humans. But the problem is we have organized religion they're killing people over two simple questions. My wife just passed away 4 months ago, and I asked people this question as I'm traveling. The two questions that the world is fighting over is, one, where did the first spark of life come from? Where did it come from? And second, when it dies, where did it go? And what's interesting is every single person that I talked to about my wife, I said, okay, how did she first get here? Give me your theory on how she got to be alive. And when she died, where did she go? We know her earthly body went to the ground, but where did she go? And it's interesting that you can ask 50 people, and 50 people will all give you a different theory, a different opinion. So what we want to do is I'm going to build a panel of all the religious leaders from Buddhism, Hinduism, Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, all of them, and even have an atheist in the room. And I want to ask the panel those two simple questions. Where did life come from, and when it dies, where did it go? And I want these panelists to defend their position, to defend their faith. Because what's crazy is you can take a Christian, 2 billion Christians, hate Islam because they're saying, hey, we're right and you're wrong. Islam is saying the exact same thing. Hey, we're right and you're wrong, and we're going to kill you for it. And what I'm saying is we need to figure out that as a world, as a human race, we've got to figure out how to cohabitate while we figure out the answer to those two questions. I don't think we'll ever find the answer to those two questions. We all have theories. I don't think we'll ever find an answer. But in the meantime, we've got to figure out how to get along. But what I want to do is take this show and let the viewer listen to all the different opinions. I use the term standing in my own truth. I want people to watch this show and be able to say, you know what? I listened to the argument. I weighed all the facts. I weighed all the evidence. And I'm able to stand now in my own truth. Or you may watch and say, you know what? That Buddhist guy makes a lot of sense. Maybe I should read his book, or the Christian guy, or the Islam guy. And at the end of the day, you may say, you know what? I weighed all the evidence. I listened to all the information. And I'm good with whatever I believe. I'm going to stand in my own truth. But I need you to stand in your own truth after you've weighed all the theories, after you've weighed all the facts and all the evidence. Not just because that's how you were raised, or what your parents told you, or what the priest told you, or your parishioners told you. I need you to weigh all the evidence, then come up with your own theories and come up with your own truth. That's my job. I'm a scientist. I search the scientific truth. I'm always seeking truth. You know, I saw a billboard the other day right outside of my hometown, and it said, follow those that are seeking truth. Question those who find it. That's powerful, because what that does is it says, you know what? We're all seeking truth to everything. And I'm 56 years old. And one of the things I said in a lecture yesterday, I said, you know what, 56 years, the one thing that I know for sure is we really don't know much of anything for sure. Every time I turn around, you turn on the TV or listen to the radio, something that we thought we knew yesterday, we figured out how wrong we were. So we must seek truth. But in the meantime, we must figure out how to make humanity a better place, and we must fix organized religion, because from Christianity to Catholicism to Judaism to Islam, we've got to stop harming people in the name of some God. I mean, there's people out there right now that are saying, hey, I'm going to kill you because you don't believe in what I believe. And then there's the opposite opposing team that says, well, I'm going to kill you because you don't believe in what I believe. Let's stop the violence and just say, you know what? While we're seeking the answer to those two questions, where did it come from and where does it go, we have got to learn how to get along, because we are destroying humanity. So we've got to figure out how to play nice while we all apply our theories to those two questions.
Jim, I'll say this, and you may not agree with this. Please jump on my shoulders and beat me over the head if you don't. But I think a lot of the fault and a lot of the blame lies with the pastors and leaders of church that are too afraid to stand up in the pulpit and preach and talk about the current events of the day. And they've got to be more forthright with the information.
You know, I would agree with that. I would agree with that because, you know, you're right. Nobody wants to talk about it, especially the Catholic Church, because it's so embarrassing. And not only is it embarrassing, like I said, that they committed the acts, but it's embarrassing all the way to the top that they slid it under the carpet. Now, here's what's interesting. I was on a call late last night for almost 2 hours, and there was a lawyer on there that has settled and is representing a lot of cases. Believe it or not, and here's what's interesting. He's representing cases for children in schools being molested, in school. And he says, Jim, even though the Catholic Church and the Christian Church has major issues, it's not a drop in the bucket compared to the sexual abuse that's happening in schools. So he brought that to light, which was empowering to me, because I said, wow, I didn't even know that. And what I told him, I said, look, I'm glad that you brought that up, because obviously that needs somebody to fight that battle. I believe I was chosen by the universe to fight this battle, and I have a personal relationship to it. I was in it. So this is my battle. I'm hoping somebody will step up and fight that battle. But what that's telling me is not only is it an epidemic in organized religion, but it's an epidemic in humanity. Now, organized religion has an opportunity because we are teaching humans, at least 2 billion humans are being taught morals and ethics in their church. They're not being taught that in school. They're being taught that in church. So to answer your question, absolutely. I think that that's where we start. If we want to fix the problem over here in the secular community, in schools, I think it has to start in these churches, because at churches is like the tip of the iceberg. That's where people are getting their morals and their education about how to operate as a human. So yes, they need to stop dancing around it. They need to be open about it, that it is a problem. It's at epidemic proportions, and that it needs to be fixed now. Like I said, I hope that people will support me in my cause. You can go to jimschreiner.com or just type in Jesus Christ enough already, because I guarantee you there are people listening to this program right now that at some time in their life have said those words, Jesus Christ enough already.
Right.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've said that in the last year. You look at, all the crap that's going on in the world, from molestation to poverty, and it's like, holy crap, Jesus Christ enough already. So I'm fed up. I'm fed up with corruption. I'm fed up with child abuse. I'm fed up. And that's why I'm on this pedestal of preaching humanism. So I'm hoping that people listening will step on the bandwagon, support me, get a copy of this book, share it with anybody that you can, because I truly believe that this book, the title, is a game changer. We have an opportunity to help fix humanity. And when you read the stories that I expose in there, I think that we all have a chance to help fix humanity. But it starts with understanding the problem. Like my dad used to say, look, you can't fix it until you figure out how it's broke and how to keep it from getting broke again.
Absolutely.
And that's what I talk about in this book. Here's how it got broken. Here's how we fix it. And I do give some scenarios where I think it can be fixed. The Catholic Church, as I told you, I don't think it can be fixed. But we've got to try. And in the meantime, we've got to figure out how to get along.
Absolutely. Jim, tell me quickly, I've only got about 30 seconds left in this segment. Where can they obtain the book, Jesus Christ, Enough Already, written by Jim Schreiner?
The best thing is keep in touch with me at jimschreiner.com. That's JimSchreiner.com. SHRINER, just like the Shriners Hospital. You can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble. The book's available anywhere. You'll see it's out there. If you do go to my website, stay there because you'll see where I'm speaking. I'm doing lectures. I'm traveling the country. I could be in your backyard doing a seminar or lecture. And if you want me to come speak somewhere, I will go anywhere. I'll be on any TV and radio broadcast. This is my life now. So if you're listening to this and you want me to come speak or you need me on a radio program or a TV show, or if you can help promote me in any way, guys, I'm telling you, I am all in. Like I said, I don't have any children. My wife's dying wish was that I take this project that her and I worked on together and see it through. I'm in this for the long haul. Like I said, I sold my beach house. I'm in a 40-foot RV traveling the country now. If somebody is listening and there's anything that you can do to help further my cause, help further my message, and get me on a platform to speak, I'll be there.
All right, Jim.
JimShriner.com. Reach out to us today. I'll be happy to help you.
Jim, I appreciate your taking the time to come on our program this morning. I am flat out of time. Jim Shriner, the author of the book, Jesus Christ, Enough Already. Thank you, Jim. I'll look forward to reading the book and having you back on the program.
Thank you, sir. Anytime. You know how to get a hold of me.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting gentleman and interesting concepts. And I think I'm going to get a copy of that book as soon as I can and invite him back on the program. Before we send it back over to our main studio, and I know we had a caller, but I was just flat out of time. I apologize, caller. I want to remind everybody about Dino Septic Service over in Rupert. Absolutely, they've expanded their business, enlarged their business to better serve you. All the septic tank pumping and the backhoe service, water and sewer lines installed, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, liquid waste removal, all of this and so much more. All you need to do is call Dino Septic Service with two numbers. In Rupert, 436-6526, and in Burley, 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service serving you. Dino Septic Service with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb back.
No, thank you and welcome back. And I had some calls and some people were saying, hey, the last caller, the last interview was a little low. We'll try to make sure that doesn't happen again. Thank you very much for your calls. I want to remind you, Jim Lundy Family Auction is going to take place this Saturday at 11 o'clock, and that's August 25th over in Buell, and the location 3934 North and 1600 East. Don't forget to be there and watch for all the sales signs. They're going to have a lot of good shop equipment, tools and supplies, four-wheelers. They're going to have four-wheel trailers. They're going to have all kinds of goodies at this sale. So make sure and put it on your calendar for a must-go on Saturday at 11 o'clock, the Jim Lundy Family Auction Sale over in Buell. Managed by our friends at Bennett Boys Auction Service. Don't forget, they are the best at what they do. The Bennett Boys Auction Service, Joe Bennett, 539-0111. You can call him for all the information, and remember the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and our next guest, also an author of a brand new book, and we say good morning to John Coons. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you on. I believe this is the first time you've been on our program, and I know that you're an industrialist and a financier, and you've got a whole bunch that you'd like to tell us about what you've done, what you've accomplished. So give us a thumbnail sketch of John Coons, please.
Well, I'm a investor. I've taken 6 companies from their inception to IPO status. Over the last couple of decades, Zeb, I've mainly invested overseas. And while I was there, I had time on my hands, so I wrote 3 novels about the experience. And the most recent one I've written is about smuggling jade over the Sino-Burmese border in southwestern China. I had a business down there, and That novel just came out in July, and it's called South of the Clouds.
Where did you come up with the title, South of the Clouds? This always interests me because I'm in the process of writing a book also. Where did you, John Coons, come up with that title?
South of the Clouds is what the locals call the region literally southeast of the Himalayas, which is where the novel takes place. The Himalayas are obviously huge mountains there in the southwestern corner of China, rising up into Tibet and Nepal. And the clouds gather on the southern side and sometimes float down. It's a beautiful region of the world physically, although extremely dangerous.
John, when you talk about extremely dangerous, and I want to talk about the kind of a sketch of what the book is all about in just a moment, but is this current administration, I am a fan of Donald Trump, I'll tell you that. He wouldn't have been my first choice for president, but I think this man has really set politics on its ear, and his administration, his concepts, etc., are good for America, and the proof is in the pudding. But I want you, an expert that's been in that corner of the world, tell us what you think about the trade with China and the trade wars, etc. What do you think this administration is doing, right or wrong?
Well, first of all, to just address directly what you just said, I'm not sure I thought Mr. Trump was the best choice either, but in terms of what he's done as far as this topic, Zeb, I couldn't agree with him more. And that's because, well, let me just say, I've been doing business in China and Southeast Asia since 1984. I'm the first American to go over there and buy hydroelectric turbines to use in sites across the United States. I was the first American to join up with Chinese companies in the 90s to build hydroelectric projects in China. I've been doing business with these people for a long time and with people in other related countries. But I can tell you this. The Chinese have been stealing our lunch since they came out of their shell when Chairman Mao died in 1976. They've been taking advantage of our, benign naivete, some people might say. Other people might say, well, we needed them to expand their economy so they'd be a great trade partner. But all good things have to come to an end, and I think what the administration is doing to start evening the playing field is long overdue.
Let me ask you this, John. I'm just a simple old cowboy sitting here in Idaho, but in my opinion, this whole thing about Russia is becoming a pain in my posterior because I don't think that they're the big problem. I think they're a scapegoat for the real problem, and that is who you just mentioned, China. How wrong do you think I am?
No, you're not wrong at all. You're 100% correct. I mean, Russia is an economic accident waiting to happen, as we all know. They're completely reliant on the price of hydrocarbons, and over the long run, they don't have a sustainable economy. But China has 1/4 of the world's people. They are really hard workers. Furthermore, they have a cultural chip on their shoulder. They're holding it against the Western powers for what happened, in the Victorian era, and they are the party in the world that we have to really constantly pay attention to, not Russia. You're absolutely right.
Why on the chessboard of politics are the Democrats in this country and the liberal left so absolutely, totally involved with the condemnation of Russia, and they can't see China right behind the screen door?
It's a great question. I think, honestly, a lot of it goes back to the mindset that our country established and kind of got locked into vis-a-vis the Cold War. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I wasn't born there, but I grew up there. And I can tell you, there's a lot of sentiment in Washington that never left about, the big enemy is behind the Iron Curtain and so forth. And I think those ways die hard. Furthermore, I would tell you that a lot of people in Washington don't understand business at all. And it's business that is driving the rivalry between the U.S. and China. They want to take over the world with their economic engine. Russia hasn't got a hope of doing that, as we discussed. So really, I think people aren't looking in the right places for the bad guys when you look at Washington.
You know, when you look at past people involved in our political scene like John Boehner, Speaker of the House, and now he's actually working as a liaison, correct me if the terminology's wrong, to help promote Chinese goods and services. I'm sitting here like in my living room the other night, tearing my hair out, throwing a Tony Lama boot at the TV screen thinking, holy cow, these people should be promoting America instead of China.
Yep, no, absolutely. And a lot of the, you know, when I spent 10 years from 2006 to 2014, 9 years actually, living in China. So I saw American politicians and American business people coming over there, trying to make deals, trying to make nice. And look, I had partnerships over there too. But you've got to go into China with a very careful, open eye. I don't think our political leaders in particular are doing that. And now, you know, as you read, you know, how many American companies have been turned away at the door? How many people have been said, you know, well, we don't want to do any more business with you? Or, you know, like Facebook, Google, all of those companies have been denied access to China. I think that ought to tell people something about their real attitude.
You know, John, I would look at this situation with China, and I think, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 70 years old. And I remember the old television show Maverick, the Western TV show about the gamblers. And if I were the government of the United States headed up by Donald Trump, I'd be looking at China like you know doggone well that the old West card shark is dealing from the bottom of the deck. Would you agree?
I completely agree. I think the one saving grace, Zeb, is they actually can't do what they need to do in the short run without us. I mean, you know, look at the trade imbalance. You know, we're sending $100 billion of goods their way. They're sending close to $500 billion our way. That's why Mr. Trump is going to win on this tariffs thing. So they still need us, even though they are dealing the cards the way you mentioned. The other thing in the long run that's really going to stop their game in its tracks is the demographic situation in China. And, you know, the one-child policy, you can't overturn that. Women in China are no longer willing to have more than one child, and that's going to catch up with them in the next decade, and it's going to cripple them economically. So what we've got to do is realize who we're dealing with and be strong for the next 10 years, and then the tide is going to turn.
Let me ask you this final thought politically, and then I want to discuss the book and the concept of the book. But would you agree with me again or not that the puppeteer is China and the puppet is North Korea? Kim Jong-un isn't going to do anything that the puppeteer doesn't want him to.
Absolutely correct. I mean, he can't afford that. Now, I will say this. I think he'd like to do something different. I think he realized he's dangling on a string, but how much choice does he really have?
Now, what about your book? I want to know about the concepts and the storyline of this book. Give us a sketch that will help sell the books and send people to Barnes & Noble to pick it up.
Well, the book is about somebody somewhat like myself. In this case, he's a down-and-out Wall Street guy who's been banished to the one last asset he owns, which is a silicon smelter in southwestern China. And when he gets there, he realizes that his employees are making more money than he is by smuggling jade. And what happens from there is pretty much based on life events. Like I said, it's the Wild West down there. Smuggling jade into China is not illegal in China. Why? Because a lot of people don't realize this. There's two kinds of jade in the world. There's nephrite, which is what they used to have in China until 1802. They discovered jadeite in Burma. It's in one place in Burma, nowhere else in the world. The Chinese value jade more than gold, And so it's the story of this American who gets involved in that and how he extricates himself, from some of the problems.
John, of all the travels that you've had in the world, and you mentioned specifically that over in the Asian corner of the world, you've lived there, you know the people, you know the customs, etc. Did you ever feel uncomfortable or, as an American, feel like you had to keep looking over your shoulder?
Not in China. What I would say is the Chinese people are not what some people would call physically aggressive or violent. They're really focused on business and picking your pocket that way. I would say, if you were to ask, where have you felt looking over your shoulder, you got to be careful. To me, the most dangerous country in the world is where I'm working right now, which is Papua New Guinea. If you can avoid it, do so. It's a pretty scary place.
What makes it so scary? I'm going to elaborate on that point just a little bit. Why is it so scary?
Well, Papua New Guinea used to be a territory of Australia. In '75, they did one of these things where they took out a pencil and a map and they said, let's put all these people in one country. There's 800 different languages, 900 different tribes, Zeb, in Papua New Guinea. Furthermore, there's no roads, there's no communications. So people were, for centuries, completely tribal, and if you went over the river into another guy's place, he would cut you up, and that sentiment and that sense pervades today. So it's a pretty scary place.
You know, you are a world traveler, industrialist, financier, author. Any new and other books looming on the horizon about life experiences?
Yes, sir. Actually, my fourth novel will be about what I was just talking about, living and working in Papua New Guinea. It should be a good one.
I am excited to have you on the program. Tell me, please, in my audience, where can they find out about South of the Clouds? Where can they pick up a copy?
Easiest place is seller of 50% of all the books in America, which, as you know, is Amazon. Just go to Amazon Books, and you'll find it right there. South of the Clouds. It's published by Post Hill Press.
John Coons, I really enjoyed having you on the program, and I certainly hope you'll consent to come back in the future.
Thank you, Zeb. It was a pleasure. Nice talking to you, and have a great day out there in beautiful Idaho.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much. A nice man with a lot of insight as to what the problems are, what the problems aren't in the Middle East, etc., and especially over in the Asian corner of the world, China, North Korea, etc. Thank you, John Coons. With the name of the book again, South of the Clouds. I'm south of getting the weather on. I better get that taken care of right away, and then we'll take some more phone calls. I enjoy having these authors on the program and finding out about some of their concepts and where they came up with the idea to write these books and everything. Really interesting. I enjoyed having him on. John Coons, good guy. Weather forecast is brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call them, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website and just scroll through all the delicious meats they've got over at scarrowsmeats.com. Absolutely. Caller, hang on. Don't hang up. I'll be right there. I got to get the weather in. Scarrows Meats, of course, with all the delicious barbecue packages of pork, chicken, and beef. Everything great from Scarrows Meats. Caller, I'll be right back. Here's Gina with the weather.
Nice to have a few rain showers for this morning. Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. This rain and thunderstorms could continue off and on throughout the entirety of the day. Some of these storms today could produce gusty winds. Areas of smoke are still going to persist. However, we are going to see some sunshine today, expecting a high of 81. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 6 miles an hour, becoming north-northeast later on in the day. For tonight, areas of smoke, mostly clear skies with a low of 51. Tomorrow, it is going to be smoky again due to the area wildfires north of Boise, and then we've got a whole bunch of wildfires in Oregon and Washington that are making their smoke prevalent in our area. Looking at a high of 85 tomorrow night, expecting a low of 52, and by Friday, smoky, sunny, and a high of 83. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you, Gina. We appreciate it. Brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, and they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Caller, you should be commended. You are very patient. Go ahead, please.
They hung up, sir.
They're not very patient. You should not be commended. Call back. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see, what else have we got here? I would like some calls and your thoughts before we wrap the program up today. I've got a little time, so give us a jingle on the landline. What have we got on tomorrow? Thursday is a potpourri of a whole bunch of things to take care of, including an open forum from 8:06 to 9 o'clock, and then we have our chamber report at 9:06 with the rapid fires, Sarah and the rest of the crew. 9:17, we meet some more of the great people down at Cassia Regional Hospital. 9:30, we discuss politics in general with Rita Ramsey. And then, of course, at 10:10 tomorrow, it's Cassia County School Days. Who's going to be on? I don't know yet. We'll find out. And then our business salute. Tomorrow we're going to be talking to LeGrand over at Lee's Furniture. And then at 10:30, of course, I'll have a little guest there for a short time. And then we'll get ready to leave for Lunch Bunch. Lunch Bunch is tomorrow at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. And that's, of course, America's Diner. Our thanks one more time to all the people that helped donate to gift certificates for our drawings. We want to say thank you to Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, and, of course, Pomerell Place and Denny's. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Well, hello.
Yeah, where they went after this Republican for that campaign violation?
Duncan Hunter.
Yes. What about all the Democrats that have done it? What about Obama? He got caught with $2 million in campaign violation money, and all he got was a little fine.
Well, you know, okay, it's easy for us to say that, Doug, but I'm on the other side of the fence on this one. If Duncan Hunter and his wife are guilty, I don't want to play, well, what about so-and-so? Because if you do something wrong, it's all on your shoulders. I'm not going to pass the buck and say, well, what about you Democrats? No, I can't do that. I am going to level the boom right at Duncan Hunter and his wife if all these allegations are true. Because A, they should have known better, and B, they didn't have the common sense that God gave a goat to do the right thing.
Well, this is true. I'm not saying, well, they did it so we can do it.
Yeah.
My point is, where's the equal justice under the law?
Well, you know there isn't any in this country at this particular time and place. You know that. We're going to have to live with that. And evil, I'll use that word, evil is permeating itself in our society, so there is no right and wrong.
That's exactly right. That's what it says in the last days. What's wrong will be right, and what's right will be wrong.
Yeah, but you know, you bring up a good, valid point. I mean, every day I get all these news stories gathered up, Doug, early in the morning, and whether it's a story about lobbyists or attorneys or politicians, the sleaze and the filth and the, yes, evil that's going on in our society, I don't care what it is, whether we're talking about that horrendous death of that college student or whether we're talking about arguing between two silly county commissioners, the evil is absolutely prominent.
It is, and it's a sad thing, but evil will succeed when good people will do nothing.
Amen. Amen. Doug, I got to run and get a commercial in, but I thank you for your call. Good way to end the program this morning. Thank you very much.
Hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our seniors. Go eat lunch. Go eat lunch with a senior. You'll enjoy it.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you, Doug. Good guy, good friend right there. He'll be at Lunch Bunch tomorrow. Don't forget our major sponsor for Zeb at the Ranch, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, serving the good word right there. They really care. They've got all the tires, all the different sizes for your cars, pickups, SUVs. Going on a late summer road trip? Hey, buddy, they can help you. Get in there today. And also check out the brake service. Highly trained brake technicians, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. All of this and more at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, great folks over there, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. None better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're going to wrap it up, put it back in the box for today, and be back here to open it up at 8:06 tomorrow morning. Ride the horse for 3 hours till 11 o'clock on Zeb Bell and Zeb at the Ranch, K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. See you tomorrow morning.